Senator Boxer.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairman and Ranking Member Graham. Thank you both for holding this critical hearing. It's very timely, and thank you so much for this opportunity to testify. I'm very honored, very honored. So today I'm here to talk about the violent crime of sexual assault in the military, not about fraternization. I'm not here to talk about disrespect, but about vicious crimes, and I'm not here to talk about false charges, but about real charges and the way they're handled. As you well know, Congress, to our great, I think, credit, passed the Bipartisan Violence Against Women Act, and I thank everyone on both sides of the aisle who worked so hard for that to pass. And I was so proud that President Obama signed it into law just last week. That law recognizes that every human being, male, female, deserves protection from violence, and it sends a clear and unequivocal message that wherever a sexual assault occurs, Madam Chairman, whether on a college campus or on an Indian reservation or in a religious setting or in our military, yes, the offender must be punished. Sexual assault is a heinous and violent crime, and it must be treated as such. It isn't an internal matter. It is a violent crime, and it must be treated as such. And I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting the Boxer-Cornyn amendment that said, no, the military cannot take offenders, people who have been convicted of sexual assault, into the military. That will help us going forward. But we need to do much more. We know this crisis is staggering. And despite some important reforms by the Department of Defense, and I thank them for those, they're trying to improve prevention, investigation, prosecution. Still, too many military sex offenders go unpunished, and too many victims do not get the justice that they deserve. As the chairman said, this is unacceptable, and it must stop. And we are the ones who can stop it. And you particularly are the ones who can stop it. Well, in response to a letter that Senator Shaheen and I sent him last week, Defense Secretary Hagel committed to taking a hard look at the military justice system. He agrees that much more must be done to combat military sexual assault. Now, let me tell you, I don't have all the answers. If I had all the answers, I would tell you that today. But one thing I do know is that immediate steps must be taken to prevent senior commanders from having the ability to unilaterally overturn a decision or a sentence by a military court. And I want to thank Senator McCaskill, who has introduced legislation to do just that. That is the first step, and only the first step. Two recent events I want to share with you highlight the urgent need for dramatic change. The first case involves a decision by an Air Force Lieutenant General to dismiss all charges against a Lieutenant Colonel who had been convicted of aggravated sexual assault. And again, all you had to do is listen to Senator McCaskill's comments on that to understand how deep this hits us. Many in Congress, our military, and our nation were stunned to read that the general used his discretion as the convening authority to throw out a military jury's guilty verdict. The jury of high-ranking military officers, and I want to say who was on this jury, 4 colonels, a lieutenant colonel, had sentenced the lieutenant colonel to a year in prison and dismissal from the Air Force. That is a jury of his peers for sure. Under the Uniform Code of Justice, the general's decision to overturn that verdict is final, and it cannot be reviewed or changed. Now, the second event I want you to hear, because you may not know of it, it took place in my home state of California. Last month, an Army veteran shot and killed 2 Santa Cruz police detectives who were attempting to question him over a sexual assault allegation. In the aftermath of this shooting, we learned that even though the former soldier had faced 2 separate rape charges while serving in the Army, charges against him were dropped and he was discharged without a conviction as part of a plea bargain. Now, what is it going to take to convince the military that sexual assault is a violent and vicious crime and that those who perpetuate it They're capable of other violent crimes, including murder. What is it going to take? It's a vicious, violent crime. And those capable of that vicious crime are capable of other crimes. Yes, murder. These examples speak for themselves, and there are so many more. You will hear them today, and your heart will break. It is time for us to take swift, decisive steps to ensure that decisions in the military justice system don't rest solely in the hands of one individual. It is not enough that our military says zero tolerance for sexual assault. You can say anything. I can say anything. You can say, but the facts speak for themselves. The Department of Defense estimates that 19,000 sexual assaults occur in the military. And I want to point out to my colleagues here, my friends, that many of these cases involve men. Only 17% of these cases are ever reported. I am so grateful to both of you for this hearing. And Senator Gillibrand, I'm so happy that you chose to hold this subcommittee, your first, on military sexual assault. I look forward to working with you on comprehensive solutions to this problem. Today's hearing is the first on this critical issue in nearly a decade. It is high time not only for this hearing, but for changes in the way the military handles these cases. I know we, all of us, who are touched by this issue, are going to work with our colleagues, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and with the military. The military, most of all, wants this to go away. And we have to end this terrible tragedy of sexual assault. And just think of what an amazing legacy it will be for this Senate if we succeed. And even more important, think about how many men and women we will rightly protect. Thank you so much. And I am very excited about this hearing. And I know with your leadership, the two of you, we can get this done. Thank you very much.